Hello, 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 beautiful people from all around the world. This is Ndile coming to you live and direct from the La Maja. Hope all is well with you today. Happy Monday. We just finished up a study session, work session. Shout out to all the night owls and all the night shifters. Whether you're working, whether you're studying, grinding, late night thoughts keeping you up, whatever it may be, keep doing what you're doing and keep working hard because times are tough. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, we're all battling something, we're all fighting something, and we're all striving towards something, hopefully. And for those of you who aren't striving towards anything, perhaps you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with anxiety, you've hit a plateau, whatever it may be. Everyone has their struggles, everyone has their battles, no matter what. Money is not always the answer. Certain relationships aren't always the answers. You're not going to necessarily find the dream wife or the dream husband or have the dream exactly the way you want it. There's a quote that goes, tell God your plans and he'll laugh at you, something along those lines. But regardless, no matter your status in life, your class in life, everyone is battling something, whether they want to act like they are or not. So this video is just to keep you hopefully on pace and on track and to keep you motivated and just to give you words of encouragement to continue on in your journey. I was in the study session just recently. It's my job to study. It's my job to learn. It's my job to, research. And in that, it's cool to kind of hang out with like-minded people who are also studying and who are also learning. And I'm a night owl, so we're getting towards the end of my night. I'm actually got about a good 3 hours before I finish up, but in that study session, typically sometimes I'll take breaks and I'll just drop some gems, drop some knowledge, and try to just offer some words of wisdom. And I just wanted to make a quick short video. I don't want to make this one too long. You guys know me. I can go on my rants and I can go on my tangents, my monologues, but I want to try to make this as concise and as quick as possible. So hopefully this won't be too long, but we'll just go until it's done. It's very important to not only try your best to remain focused no matter what you're battling in life, but to also create balance in your life. In that live stream, I had to ask ChatGPT, I think I knew the answer already, but how many thoughts the average human has on a daily basis, and it's typically around 6,000 thoughts, and about 70 to 80% of those thoughts are repetitive thoughts. It may be bills you have to pay, things you have to deal with, death in the family, grieving, relationship problems, whatever it may be, financial problems, work problems, whether it's at work or things you have to take home, your children, raising your children, finding a loved one, whatever you are battling with. A lot of times we will have these thoughts, and these thoughts will continue to repeat in our mind over and over and over. And if you're really on some crazy stuff, a lot of times you'll play scenarios in your head. And I'm joking, it's not necessarily a crazy thing, but we will play things in our head and situations, scenarios. Sometimes there's scenarios that never even happened, but you'll replay these things in your head. And imagine if you didn't have certain problems, how free your mind would really be. And why is it that our problems occupy so much of our mind and so much of our time and stress us out so much? The number one killer in the world, stress. And these problems stress us out. These problems are something that continuously plague our minds. And yet, a lot of times, once we pass those problems, they're gone. And yet, to just think about it, like the problems you had a year ago, maybe some of you don't even have those problems anymore. The problems you had 10 years ago, you can't even remember them. But yet, they took so much of your time and energy, let alone the bombardment of everything that's on social media and all the distractions that we are plagued with in the world. Before you know it, years go by, progress is not made, and you're still stuck in the same place. So with that in mind, I want to try to keep you on the straight and narrow and keep you focused. I do live streams where I'm studying and working. Also do live streams where I'm gaming and I'm just chilling and chopping it up with everybody and just being a normal human being, letting my hair down and relaxing. But all in all, the important thing is that that's balance. Balance is important. Work-life balance is important. And learning to shut off your mind to certain things that, whether you think about it or not, it's not necessarily going to change the outcome until the time comes to cross that bridge. So, I mentioned in the live stream, in the Bible, there is a scripture that says, don't worry about tomorrow's problems. Today has enough problems. And I'm paraphrasing. The future is not here yet, according to our timeline and our interpretation of time. And the past is done. The past is history, and it is a lesson for us to learn on how to navigate in the present now. And the beautiful thing about the present, not only is the word itself present, which is a gift, but also it is our time to be fully engaged in the moment. When we're working, a lot of times, I remember when I was, working, corporate 9 to 5, and shout out to all the people who are working out there 9 to 5, and whatever job you're doing or wherever you're at in life, I see a lot of videos and people shaming people of the jobs they work and how they're supporting their families. And, there's a saying that goes, even if you're broke and you paid all your bills, you're not really broke. It's like, I just paid my rent. Okay, what you doing this weekend? I'm enjoying my rent that I just paid. All right, I'm at my house. But as long as you're working, you're striving towards a goal, no matter the age, that you are, keep doing what you're doing and progressing in the right direction. But in this society, it's good to have a healthy amount of goals to strive for. It's good to have a healthy amount of criticism of yourself as far as wanting to be better. Some maybe even call it being a perfectionist. But it's also good to be able to put things down and to say that's enough for the day. Go on to other projects, rest, and relax. Doing nothing is also doing something. And doing nothing is also productivity at times, as long as you are intentional about it, and as long as you are carving out that time to say, during this time I am doing nothing, I am recharging my brain, I am preserving my edge for tomorrow. I'm not going to continue to keep going until I burn all the way out. Because what happens is you'll work, and let me tell you, the world is very unforgiving. It will extract, and it will extract, and it will extract from you if you let it. But if you set boundaries and you put things in its place, its proper place, you can say, this is my time to work, this is my time to play, this is my time to recharge, this is my time to help others, this is my time to rest and sleep, this is my time for self-care, and some of those things are self-care. But a lot of times you'll be in bed and working in bed, checking emails. A lot of times you'll be on the road and texting while you're working, trying to work, texting and driving, eating and driving, and that's not balance. one thing I like to do is when I eat, I like to be present with my meal, and I like to just focus on eating. And I like to do very, not low vibrational activities, but just things that kind of just turn my mind off. I don't want to be working while I'm eating. I've done that, and it does nothing for you. So creating that balance for yourself is very important, because if you don't, burnout will happen, and stress will come, and it honestly lowers your productivity. My sister used to give me this analogy about the woodcutter, the axe cutter, two axe cutters in the forest. One axe cutter sharpened his axe, strategized, and figured out how he was going to chop trees. The other axe cutter just continued to keep chopping and chopping and chopping and chopping, thinking that is a efficient way to be able to chop a lot of trees. But the one who rested, and the one who strategized, and the one who sharpened his axe was the one who chopped down twice as many trees as the person who just continued to keep going and going. And the one who sharpened his axe, their work was much more, the word I'm looking for is like cleaner. Notice when you work, a lot of your work can get sloppy. You lose creativity, and you lose productivity, you lose strength, you lose your mind. And that's not a place you want to be. So I would really encourage you to start putting balance in your life. You only have 24 hours in a day, and those 24 hours, you sleep maybe 6 to 8. So that's a third of your day is gone. The other maybe 4 hours is dedicated to eating, self-care, as far as taking care of yourself in the sense of showering and cleaning and different things, grooming and different things like that. And then you're working another 8 hours, and then you have another, the rest of the remaining time, maybe 4 hours or so, plus or minus, to be able to really do the things you want to do or to improve yourself. So what are you doing with that time? A lot of us are giving that time away to others who are not building us, who are not strengthening us. We're giving it to social media, nonsense news. Think about the news at the top of the year. What was the news? What was the negative news at the top of the year? You'd have to really dig and find it. What was the thing that bothered you on the news at the top of the year that they wanted to distract you with in the media? Didn't do anything for you. You can't even remember it, most of you. So instead of having that be a portion of your mind on top of all the problems that you're carrying and all the weight and you're carrying, just say, hey, I have these problems already from myself, my children, my family, my friends, my loved ones, my work. I solve those problems head on. I show up as best as I can, whatever that may be, 100%, 80%. That 80% might be my 100% for the day, but that's how I'm showing up today. And after that, I'm going to continue to do these other things that add to my richness and that add to my personhood, because tomorrow's not promised. And so if any of us are to go at any given time, you want to say, well, at least I got to enjoy my favorite show tonight, or at least I got to go on a walk, or at least I got to, have a good conversation with my mother or father, or play with my kids. It wasn't all just consumed with work all day, every day. It's not healthy. And you also see it in people's characters when they're consumed by their work. I had an ex one time, that's all she ever talked about was work. And it was just like, almost like you don't have another personality, another gear. Kind of turns me off sometimes too, when one of the initial questions people ask is, what do you do for a living? And it's almost like they are pocket watching and engaging and trying to gauge and figure out what level in which they want to judge you, instead of asking, like, how are you? Or, how's your mental? Or how's your family? Or things that can really give a spark in someone? What are some of the things you like to do in your free time? You know, some people spark up. Well, I like to go fishing. I like to go to the gym. I like to exercise. Well, tell me some of your favorite exercise. What do you like to do? You know, but instead we're constantly trying to one up our fellow man and trying to say, "Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, you work at McDonald's? Oh, okay." Yeah, as if that person is not perhaps a talented person, whether at their job or have other talents or skills that they may have that you never uncover and never think to ask them about because you've already graded them as somebody who is low class or someone who might not have the education or the smarts to be able to talk to someone who you may have a higher status, you know, a business owner or entrepreneur or, you know, in a high position in corporate society. But it's all about sharing information, and it's all about building proper relationships and, you know, creating that space where, you know, almost like a judge-free zone where you can really get something from somebody in an exchange, in a conversational exchange. So, in closing, try your best to stay as motivated as you can. Try your best to stay as inspired as you can. Go to those different channels, right? There's the physical, there's the mental, there's the spiritual. And each one of those things needs to be replenished. The physical, obviously, with food and water and exercise and, you know, those sort of things. That should be a pillar in your life. The mental, not just your work, but other things that can improve your work, whether it's reading, whether it's writing, journaling, you know, listening to, you know, different things that can elevate your mind. And of course, spiritual, whatever higher power you believe in, whether it's the Bible, you know, praying, fasting, you know, meditating, that also has to be replenished. And in my live stream, my sister had called me and I told her I had one of those days. And one of those days is where, you know, I'm sleeping, and everyone has that day where within the week, usually, where you just kind of crash and you just feel like you become one with the couch or you become one with the chair, you know, or the bed. And it's like, it's a deeper sleep. It's a heavier sleep. And that's usually your spirit, your soul is resting during that time. That has to happen, whether you like it or not. Certain times when we deprive ourselves from sleep and we think that, you know, sleep when I'm dead, or, you know, ain't no time for sleep. You're going to get the sleep, don't worry. Or you're going to get what's called in sleep debt. And your body's going to want that sleep. It's going to crave that sleep. And if it doesn't, notice people's personalities, right? You can tell the way people deliver things and how angry they are and how negative they are, and just their tone, whether it's just like they're not calm, they're not at peace with something, and it's just rah, 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 rah. Just listen to people. Listening is such a beautiful skill. And notice how certain people can be so angry. I was talking to one of my partners at the gym the other day, and this lady came by, and there was all these different spaces and places she could have walked by, but she wanted to walk in between me and my partner talking. And she put her hand up like this, like we were in her way, but even though we were already standing there. And I was like, what was that about? And he's like, yeah, it's just some people are just negative like that, you know. That's just their personality, that's just their trait. And they don't have to say anything, it's just their mannerisms. And they don't know how to release those demons, you know, lack of a better term. So you don't want to be that person. You want to be a person who's always in control, even keel, as best as you can, controlling of yourself and your emotions and your mental. You know, there's certain things in life you can't control, but as we say, control the controllables. And, you know, do your best to create balance in your life and create a game plan for yourself. Because when you do that, I know this might sound very, to some it might sound high level, it might sound woo woo, whatever. But the truth of the matter is when you do this, you really find peace. And life is really fun. It's so fun because you're not bothered by stuff. And, I have a lot of supporters, and, I make a lot of content for Black people, Black people in the diaspora, Black Americans. And one thing about us is that we are unbothered by a lot of things. There's just certain things we know how to mind our business, and we know how to be unbothered by certain stuff. It's like the Cat Williams skit. Well, F them lights. I got 12 candles. I've been waiting to burn them, right? That light bill due. Nah, I got 12 candles. I've been waiting to burn them. Forget it. Don't worry about it. Control the controllables, and wherever you're at in life, no matter if you have to start over, 30, 40, 50 years old, I have to start over, 18 years old, don't I know what I'm doing in my life? As long as you start, and as long as you're on the right path, you will find your way. I promise you will find your way. Try your best not to be negatively influenced by what's on the internet and all the flashiness and all the money, and you need to be making $10,000 a day and da-da-da-da and all of this outlandish stuff. No, find your peace. Find your place in life. Find where you are trying to be comfortable at, and then slowly progress. And then before you know it, you're at peace. You're not worried about anything. You can make videos at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 8 in the morning. You can take a walk. You can go buy a dog. You can take a vacation. You can do all types of cool things, a lot of fun things, because you're not so worried about those problems that used to keep repeating in your mind over and over again. You learn to shut those things off. You learn to put them in their proper place and say, all right, I'm no longer dealing with that. So do your best. And like I said, one exercise that I do is, take it one day at a time, day by day, split the day up. There's a time I'm going to rest. There's a time I'm going to work. There's a time I'm going to have fun. And there's a time I'm going to help others. I'm going to set these particular boundaries, and I'm going to do my best in life to enjoy life, because trust and believe the world is set up to make you not enjoy it, right? Unless it is at your expense, right? You want to enjoy life at a certain level, you got to pay. And it's like, don't forget those things that you do or have done that bring you joy, and they might not cost much, if not anything. Don't forget about those things. There was one time you wanted a certain vehicle, you got the vehicle, the honeymoon phase fizzled out, and then what? Now you have all these new problems with it. And then what's on to the next thing, and it's on to the next thing, because we're so consumed by the materialism. Yet, when you get into that mode where there's certain things that don't faze you, there's certain things that you're not bothered by, and you really compartmentalize your life and really curate it to such a place where it's like, this is my experience, this is my world, and everyone else is just coming into it, right? There is the world, and then there's my world. And I do step in the world because I have to participate in it, but I also go back to my world. And in my world, there is no rules on how beautiful I can make it, how peaceful I can make it, how joyous I can make it. No one is stopping me to do that. But we allow certain negative thoughts, negative people into our lives, and different things that take control, and to the point where it's like, you don't even have time for yourself, don't even have time for the things you used to love to do. So do your best. Show up every single day as best as you can, and make time for yourself. Whatever that may be, don't forget who you are. Always remember who you are, because that person is going to be the only person who's going to fight for you and care about you until the very end. That person is the most important person, self-preservation, because only you know the intricate details of your life, every secret, every pain, every tribulation, every no one saw me take that loss. Only you know. And you got to give yourself a pat on the back on that. And you also have to be able to level up from those things and learn from those things so you don't repeat these same cycles and become somebody who's negative. You know, knowledge is not, age is not a prerequisite to knowledge or wisdom. Just because somebody's old, they still act like they're, you know, a child, you know. And then even there's children out of the mouths of babes, there's wisdom, you know. But there are certain people, you just hear them talk and it's just like, man, this person is just a zombie, a druid, a drone, oh my goodness, what society has really done a number on you. So break those chains from your mind, break those chains from your heart, and, you know, every day show up and do the best that you can and love life, because life is meant to be loved and to be explored and to be truly cherished. And, you know, and keep fighting on as always. I'm over here giving y'all this video like it's the end of the world video, or like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, listen, I'm doing lots of videos. I don't want this thing to sound like it's like my last video ever, but it's got that kind of I'm starting to sound like it's got that tone in this muff, you know? But it's just, man, it's weighing on me a little bit, just seeing how much people are really stressed out. Food don't taste the damn same no more. Everything is too damn high. All the prices is too damn high. Everybody's negative. It's just like, man, it's just like if you just got a little bit more reorganized, restructured, you know, and just really took control of that powerful mind of yours. Everything you see was created by the mind. So your mind has no limits if you don't allow it to. And so, you know, do your best. And you know, appreciate the love and support as always. It's so good to be back in the set, back in the mix, and giving you guys some encouragement and some love and some wisdom and some knowledge and some understanding. So with that, appreciate the support again as always, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Peace.